what's going on? This is your host, Dr. Jeff C. May, and you are listening to another episode of the Doctor's Orders, advice you should actually take. And in today's episode, this is hitting home. It's going to hit home for me because the title of it is Stop Stopping. Stop Stopping. And it sounds super, super easy. And I've spoken on this some before. And most people, they can kind of, they can guess it. They can get around on it. They can say, well, yeah, that makes sense. Stop stopping. That's so smart, Dr. Jeff. And wow, that's so wise. And, there's going to be a handful of other people who are like, well, that's the dumbest, crap I've ever heard. And that shit is just whack. Like that's what I feel I want to say. And, well, that may be the case. I'm going to take it one step deeper and give you an analogy today when it comes to your health, when it comes to healthy habits, when it comes to something positive. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It could be as simple as reading, the Bible. It could be as simple as like prayer daily. Whatever it may be for you, this analogy is going to help you because ultimately to be healthier, to be happier, to be more productive, it's going to take putting this principle today in place with stopping. Because I don't know if you can relate. I bet you can though. If I had to bet a lot of money, I bet you could, does this make sense? Does this sound like you? Man, you know what? I was going really, really good, and then I just got off track. I was going to the gym really, really well. I had, friends that would meet me there, accountability partners, all those things, and then I just don't know what happened. Or, man, I was eating really, really good, and then that one thing happened, and I just fell off the wagon, and I ate a bunch of donuts the one weekend, followed by pizza. I drank some beer, like all those stuff, and I felt like crap. And now I just don't feel the momentum and the energy to get back on the horse and go again. How many of you does that sound like you? I mean, that's been me at points in my life. And we can't run around and walk around and pretend like, oh, it's just those people or just those people. Freaking A. It's called being a human being. And until we realize that, we're not all that different. Like, I don't care where you grew up, your skin color, what language you speak, your GPA. I don't give a rip. I don't give a rip about all that stuff. At the core of it, the human condition is more alike than it's not. And so when it comes to health, and which I get to talk about, I feel I'm a freaking expert, okay? Not in an arrogant way, but like, my gosh, I've been doing this thing for almost 15 years professionally. Before that was a ton of school, all these things, and being, passionate about helping people get their lives back. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing, you don't understand the value of when somebody comes in and says, hey, by the way, I can actually get on the floor and play with my kids. Like, I don't have to feel like the grandpa dad anymore. I sleep better and I have more energy. My wife and I are actually sleeping in the same room because I'm getting a full night's sleep now. And I'm not getting up every 2 to 3 hours and waking her up, and she's got to get up early for work. And before, we weren't even staying in the same room. The stories that happen each and every week in my office, when I hear those, like, the reason I grab my phone, or a lot of times I'm like, hey, can you share that? Or the guy who, used to be have to have a pinch runner for his softball team, but because of, the soft wave therapy for his knee, he's now running the bases on his own. He's bowling. He's doing those things. Like, the reason I grab my phone in those moments for those testimonials is because that life has changed. Like, that life is changed. And for crying out loud, like, you'll see it on coffee cups, like, life short, you should stay awake for it, like, which is kind of a cool slogan for caffeine. And people will say life is short, or you only live once. The YOLOs out there, which technically you live every day, you only die once. But I'm not gonna get too technical on that. Even though I did, that was kind of like a passive aggressive Minnesota nice way of doing that. At the end of it, we have these similarities to where we talk about, let life, grab life, grab life by the horns, wherever that came from, as I'm sitting here talking through this stuff. But it's like, you look at all this, and at the end of it, nobody gets out of it alive. And so here's the analogy. Here's the analogy I want to give. So when we talk about health, because that's what really matters. Like, health is wealth. People work their whole life, trying to earn money, but then when they don't take care of their health, they end up giving all that money plus some back, in their later stages of life, just to try and enjoy life. So let's put you ahead of the game by listening to this, like by sharing it, by commenting, by liking, whatever you do. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, getting this message out there. And this analogy is going to help a ton. So like I said, the title of this is Stop Stopping. I may change that. I may change that in the post-editing. It may be like stopping sucks, or why stopping is sucking the life out of you. It might be a little edgier than that. Probably it will. But the analogy is this. The analogy goes something like this. Health is like riding a bicycle uphill. You got to continually pedal. And nobody likes to ride a bike uphill. I remember my wife when she got a road bike, years and years ago. And it was kind of like one of our first purchases when we were married. And she got this really cool, like, road bike. She had a way better job than I did at the time. She was my sugar mama, if you will. Because the first couple of years in practice, man, I barely, if anything, paid myself. And the point of it was she was, had a great job, great income, company car, all those things. And so we went and she's like, I think I want to get into road biking. And so we got her this nice road bike. And I remember she's like, oh, you should get a bike, too. And I'm like, man, I'm not putting on the tight shorts. I'm not going to get I'm just not down for the road bike experience. I don't look in the mirror and think that would, fit all into that. And so I just didn't want to do it. And so eventually I got a mountain bike. And so we kind of biked together. And obviously two different experiences, but inevitably when there was an uphill, like that sucked. Like you shift down into an easier gear so you could climb, your pedals start going faster, even though you're not going faster, but it's easier to pedal. And you get up the hill and that's that. But hills were always something that just sucked when it came to biking. And so when I tell you the analogy about health being an uphill, like riding a bike uphill, here's what I mean, is that it takes continual input to get to the destination. It takes continual input, because what happens when you stop pedaling and you're going uphill? Now, maybe you have some speed, maybe you have some momentum, maybe you've been doing really, really well on your workout, your training, your physical training, maybe your input of food, your intake, maybe that's on point, and you've been doing this for a while, and so you have some momentum. So even though you let off the pedals a bit, you still continue to go. Like you don't fall over or start to go backwards. But if you stop pedaling for long enough, what happens? You will actually fall over, go backwards, and you'll slip and do all these things. And you know what? That's what health is. Because I remember thinking like going, and let's see, about a year ago, I was really good physical shape. I mean, I was probably maybe 5 to 6 pounds heavier than I am now, but I was pretty cut, pretty lean, pretty shredded. I even posted on our fan page at Vantage Health Center. I'd never done that. I did like the shirtless pic of before, and I kind of looked like a hobo. And then I was like flexing, and it was like, raw, had a lion's not sheep hat on. I felt like a badass, right? What a dork looking back at it. But I was shredded because I did a lot of work. And then all of a sudden you let off the gas and you slide backwards. And it sucks because I was like, man, I thought once I got to a place like I could do some like upkeep stuff, but it wouldn't take as much work as it took to get there. And here's the lie we believe. The lie we believe that when it comes to our health, we get to a certain place where we have to stop. We get to stop working. And I don't know, like that was just a lie somewhere along the line that I bought into. So if that's you too, and this episode is helping, give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, give it a like, whatever, subscribe, tell your friends. And if it's not, then kudos to you. You're just smarter than me. And there's a lot of other people in the world that are a lot smarter than me. So I'm not surprised. But at the end of the day, like that, pedaling the bike uphill really hit home and resonated with me, because once I realized that, like, it's not like I resented the work. The work's going to be there whether you resent it or not. There's things you have to do daily on a daily basis for your health, whether you want to do them or not. And if you don't get the results. And if you do get the results. So that's the cool thing. But once I realized it was like pedaling a bike uphill, I no longer felt the almost that looming weight of having to do the work. No, I get to. It's just part of the gig. Like I'm on a bike that's going uphill. That's what it is. It's work. But I know I can build momentum and I get stronger along the way. You see, the hill doesn't change. The hill's the hill. Now, maybe you haven't been doing something or much of anything for your health, and maybe it looks like more of a mountain. But guess what? You're not the same person that you were yesterday. If you're on that bike and you're pedaling, you get stronger. You may not feel it. You may look in the mirror and say, you know what? I just look the same. I don't think I'm as healthy. All the other crap and lies that come at you. But I promise you this, in a week from now, you're going to be stronger if you're doing the work daily. In a month from now, you're not going to be the same person. There's an old quote that, and I may botch it because I didn't look it up before the show in the show notes, but that's fine, whatever. I like to just speak my heart when I come on this podcast. And so, it talks about how a man can never the same man can never step in the river twice, because he's no longer the same man and it's no longer the same river. And it's this override, and I probably botched that, whatever. But the point of it is that you're not the same person you were yesterday, and the river's never is always moving, and it's never the same water. And so just like going up that hill on that bike and pedaling, you're no longer the same person. You're getting stronger. So what I want to do in today's episode is encourage you today to either maybe you got to get back on that bike. Maybe you got to get a bike. Maybe you need a system. Call the office, myadvantagelife.com. Talk to us. It will help you. I don't care if you're in the area, local or not. I'll find somebody for you. Depending on your goals, all that stuff, just contact us, okay? So maybe you need to get a bike. 2, maybe you got a great bike and you know how it works. You know the gears. It works well. You just got to get on that thing and start pedaling. And 3, maybe you're on the bike. Maybe you're pedaling, but maybe now it's time to shift gears. Maybe it's time to push yourself to a different workout style, potentially. Actually, maybe change your diet up because you've been, you had a couple cheat days and you're like, oh man, I need to speed up and pedal here. Whatever it may be, you're going to find yourself in one of those 3 situations. And this message is getting to you somehow by the grace of God. It is getting out there in the interwebs. I have no idea how you're hearing this or how you're listening to this, but I know I sat down with an idea and a purpose and a passion to get a message recorded and put it out there. So I am going to encourage you to do something with it and find out, are you that person who needs to get a bike? You need help. You need a system. Let us know. Contact us. Find somebody. There's so many good health and wellness experts out there. B, maybe you need to just get back on a bike. You kind of know what to do. You've been there, done that, and it's just time to get back on it and do the work and realize that that's health. That's life. You're uphill. Big deal. You're going to get stronger along the way. Or 3, maybe you need to pedal faster, shift gears, mix it up, and take yourself into those levels where you continue to get better. So find yourself in one of those 3 situations. Let me know, comment. I want to know where you're at. Where do you find yourself today? Put that up in the comments in the show notes. And you know what? Those are your doctor's orders.